Hello and welcome to another edition of Straight from the Training Ground, the podcast where we share our love for the beautiful game and the people out in our communities doing beautiful things. I'm Jay. Glad to have Michael Douglas back with us from the Soccer Rebellion. Michael, we got a lot of things to share, a lot of exciting things coming up this summer. So how you been?
I'm good, man. Super busy, but all surrounded to the game. The EPL finished the way that I didn't want it to finish. But the Copa America's coming. We have the Olympics coming. I don't know. Soccer's just in this really sick spot right now. It feels awesome. Everything feels exciting and new, and I'm loving what's going on. But I did start off by saying the EPL thing because I'm kind of done with Man City, and I was really rooting for Arsenal.
Yeah.
I just like the way Arsenal plays. They had that little bit of like an Ajax flair to them, where they just a little bit of more creativity. They feel more homegrown. And Man City, and I'm a Yankees fan, but they feel kind of like the Yankees.
Yeah. It's nice to see someone else every once in a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
well, you've been busy with the Bridge Street League there in Michigan. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about that and what's going on, and then we'll get to our bigger news a little bit down the road.
Yeah. So for those that that tuned in before, maybe haven't seen my face, I'm the founder and CEO of the Soccer Rebellion. The Soccer Rebellion is a movement dedicated to giving players the platform to really create what America's soccer identity looks like. So everything we do is tries to stay authentic and get away from the governing parties and give the platform to the players. So from our tournaments to our leagues, everything we do, it's catered to the players to give them the best experience. And then our social media is really designed to showcase what they're all about. So if you aren't following us on Instagram, please do at the Soccer Rebellion. And make sure you're following Straight from the Training Ground on Instagram and the neighborhood. Those are three things that I really feel like are impacting the culture. So that's my soapbox. So right now we have the Bridge Street League. So we've designed courts downtown Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is a hidden gem for soccer. And it's right in the heart of the city. We have 3 courts. And we're in our 3rd year, actually really 2nd year of our street soccer league, where we have 12 men's teams. And then now we have 7 women's teams. Each team is sponsored by a local organization, which allows us to then flip the model of the pay-to-play system. So now these players are playing completely free. They get a custom jersey designed by a local artist. The organizations become team owners. So now they really dictate how the fandom, how the brand looks, how the team looks, and then they're out each week activating. So if you're familiar with &1 basketball, it's very similar to that. So we have a live DJ, IMC it. We have food trucks. We have barbers. We have game day hair for the ladies, so hairstylists and makeup artists. We sell beer. And then each organization's out there selling or promoting their products. So we have everything from Madcap Coffee, which is one of the most renowned coffee places in Michigan. We have West Michigan Credit Union that's always giving away free things. And we have Makaya, which is a cafe. And then we have Garage Bar, Russo's Bar and Grill. We have the Social House. We have Wells Design. We have El Granero Mexican restaurant. We have a slew of just these different authentic places that really showcase the identity of the Grand Rapids culture. So just trying to tie it all together to show the players of the community that they have behind them and what they represent. So the idea behind all these things that we do with Grand Rapids is, where's the identity lay for the soccer culture? Like, what does it really represent? And so what can we do, the Soccer Rebellion, to promote that, to give the soccer players a culture, a community, and an identity that they belong to? So really becoming a front porch community, meaning rather than it being in a backyard front porch, meaning that you're out in the front saying hello to everyone, your neighbors, rather than a backyard isolating yourself. That's what's really the idea of this, is become a front porch community within our league. So we're in week 3 of our league. I know there's a lot of talking, but Grand Rapids is a hidden gem for soccer. West Michigan in general is a hidden gem. We have players that are playing in the World Cup. Riley Turner, who went to East Kentwood, plays for Panama. She plays in the World Cup. We have Jonathan Stout, who plays at MSU, which I'm sure is going to do great things in the MLS. There's just a slew of talent. I know there's a lot of names that I've forgotten. There's another player, Chris Mendez, who plays for Guatemala. So there's just a lot of talent that's here. And the reason for it is because we have a strong futsal presence. It's something that probably about 2 decades ago was introduced, and it just hung on. And I think because the sexiness that it brings to the game. So you saw the players that played futsal when you played an 11v11, you saw the skills. Now, I don't believe that futsal translates to 11v11. I think the athleticism is much different. The example is it's 3 yards of space to shut down compared to 15, 10 yards of space. There's a whole different component of fitness that needs to live there. But that futsal in tight spaces, that creativity, the foot speed is so miraculous and so fun to watch that I think it makes soccer more digestible for the average sports fan. And that's kind of the idea behind the league, is that we're not just talking to soccer players. We're talking to average sport fans saying, no, look at this game through a new lens. It's very much the oohs and ahs that you get from basketball and one basketball. Like it's that same type of caliber and high paced energy. And so we try to mimic that with our league, and it's catching on. It's getting there. People are wanting to come out. It's free to attend, but because it feels like this big community, it's a flavor that Grand Rapids hasn't seen before. And with the league itself, you get to celebrate so many different cultures, so many different backgrounds, and it's all in one melting pot. And it's different, man.
That's what soccer's all about, right? I mean,
so different. And yeah, exactly. And you know what's crazy, Jay, is like how many people that don't know soccer come out and say, wow, look at the diversity, where I'm almost numb to it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's so corny to say, like, I don't see color, but in this essence, I see game.
Yeah. You just play. Yeah.
Right. I see style. I see all these different things. And so you forget that this is so different than a lot of different sports, to where it's somewhat generic and there's kind of one kind of flavor or style. I know basketball is definitely transcending to become more global, but if you're looking at football, I mean, basketball still, there's a style that's emulated. What's so great about soccer, and I think what the street culture brings out, is you get to see a whole variety of different styles in a small sample size, and how it's conducted, like, to be blunt, you'll see a lot of the suburban white kids in their style, how direct, how physical, and how fast. It's almost like full sprint. Like it almost feels like an ADHD kid running, but they work hard, they grind, there's grit to it. And then you'll see the Hispanic flavor, where it's very much the 1v1, where they're going to dance around you, and their foot skills are so tight, their creativity. And I'll even go as far as to say Guatemala, with their movement around surrounding the ball is so smart and intelligent. And then they're able to, their pace is different. Their pace is like kind of watching. And again, I can't say this is all Guatemala, but just the sample size I have of Guatemala, it's almost like Luka Doncic, if you watch basketball, to where he can pick his pace. So you always have the defender off balance. So it's just, you get to see, and then you see the Africans playing, where the same thing. To me, when I watch some of these Africans that are playing, their athleticism is so far off the charts. They're doing things you're like, what? Like, like a lot of it, they're crazy mechanics, and there's a different flair, there's a different style to it. And then when you have a league it's hyper local and hyper focused on each game, it really does magnify what the styles and the flavors look like, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So
I was a big fan of hot sauce on And One.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, exactly.
We get hot sauce to make an appearance if he's out there.
Yeah, I do. That and Professor. Professor was the other one.
Professor, yeah, he's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think we were talking about soccer in general, and obviously the World Cup is on the global scale of that, but you always see it where it brings people together in different cultures and different styles of play and all those kind of things. So, if you don't follow Soccer Rebellion, check those guys out on social media. You're doing some great things there, obviously, for a long time. But tell everybody a little bit more about what's coming up in terms of your weekly series. You're kind of going on tour, and what that's going to be like.
Sure.
Because you're going to go outside of just your local neighborhood, correct?
Yes, absolutely. And then before I transition to that, I do want to say Chicago in August this year, our league, it's Bridge Street League, will be turning into the Soccer Rebellion League Grand Rapids, and then we're going to have Soccer Rebellion League Chicago. So our leagues are now moving, and so then by next year we'll have Detroit, and hopefully Milwaukee. And then 2026, our plan is to have New York and Philly. So really trying to bring something national attention. So that's that. But our marquee event really has been our takeover tour and our tours, where we travel around the country, trying to put on a micro tournament. So a micro tournament is 3.5 hours, 4 hours, high energy. So you're not there all day, leaving, coming. You stay put, and you get to surround the court. So you really create that atmosphere of support and community with that, the tournaments. But it's supposed to mimic each city's soccer identity. So the same way that we create the league, we try to bring that same type of presence to our tour to showcase this is the difference in what it looks like in Columbus. This is the difference of what it looks like in Detroit, in New York, and Philly. And it is different. So from our experience, we've been doing this for 4 years. It is different. Well, that took off after our second year. We partnered with Dick's Sporting Goods and Nike. And so now we have our championship for our takeover tour. Dick's Sporting Goods have been great partners of ours, and is really starting to plug us in as they're trying to authenticate themselves as someone that has legitimate soccer and the soccer store basically for a brick and mortar across the United States. And I'll say this, I was hesitant at first because I've never bought my equipment from Dick's Sporting Goods. I always felt like if I did, I'd be walking out with some Franklin baseball shoes, but that's not the case anymore. And I promise you, they have really done their homework. And when you go there, especially from a cleats perspective, they have a ton of variety, from Nike to Diadora to, I forget what's the new cleat here that's just black and white, to Mizuno's to, I mean, so you have the options now, which is great. And I didn't know they had that before. And now they're even from licensed material, and unlicensed wise, they have a lot. But anyway, so they have now partnered us and showcased us to the MLS. The MLS loves what they saw with us, and we're trying to now bridge this gap between street ballers and soccer players to the professional ranks, to the MLS team. Again, streamlining that identity. So at the top of it, this is Columbus Crew. Do they accurately represent what it looks like to be a street baller in Columbus? And how can we tie these identities? Because for me, and I think the big thing for me in this, and why I'm so passionate about it, is because I am from New York, and I'm diehard Yankees, Giants, Knicks, Rangers, like diehard. Like it's, you talk shit about that, you talk shit about my family. Like that's how I feel. I'm super tribal about it. And so finding a team for soccer has always been a little bit more challenging for me because it wasn't ingrained. So being a fan meant something different, even though I'm so in love with the game. Being a fan of a soccer team just never felt like I was tribal. I didn't have that. And so I think that comes from your identity, your tribe. And so if you can make that tribal, then fandom in the MLS will certainly start to take off. And so I think what's been missed with the MLS, and I'm going to speak candid a little bit, and they're doing, the product is much better. I must say that. I got the Apple subscription. I watch it, and the games are much more digestible, but it still find it difficult for me to become a fan and to really digest everything. Like being for NYCFC is going to be my team now, when it was originally Metro Stars and Red Bull, but NYC, just because they're going and building a stadium in Queens.
Yeah. So
I know this is a long slew of saying what we're doing, but we're going on tour with the MLS to put on street soccer tournaments with these clubs. So we just did DC United. DC soccer culture is unbelievable. DC in general is just a great place, but their soccer culture is completely robust. The reason we started there is because the Dick's Sporting Goods store in DC United is one of their top selling for soccer gear. So there's definitely a lot of people there that are interested. It's a diverse city. So you got a lot of different flavors. We did it there. The ballers were insane. You have players coming out. So we had Mac McVay, the center back for DC United, who played with Messi last year. He came out. And then you have an activation team. We do a youth clinic, and then we do a 3v3 tournament where the winners win $1,000 and then tickets to a game. So
awesome.
DC was great. Our next stop is going to be Charlotte, which is extremely robust soccer market that I'm finding out, looking into it. And Charlotte has been nothing but advantageous in wanting to help us and put this on. And then we're traveling to Columbus, where you're at, which you'll be with me. And we're doing the All-Star game in Columbus. So Jay and I will be hanging out with Messi and Suarez and everything. And it's all right. You guys want an autograph? Just no, I'm just kidding. We won't be. We probably won't even see him. But but that would be cool if it did. And then after that, we are heading to Chicago, Kansas City, LA, and potentially Miami. Miami would be unbelievable, but that's just the start for this year. And the plan is, if we hit the marks on this, next year we try to hit each team. But during this tour that we're doing, what Jay and I will be doing is connecting with the city. So as we're going there and promoting what we're doing with MLS, we will connect with the soccer culture, from street ballers to youth clubs to the professionals. And we will be on this podcast talking and identifying what the Charlotte soccer culture authentically looks like, what the Columbus soccer culture authentically looks like, what Chicago, and really take a deeper dive by talking to the representatives of that city and getting a feel and finding out. And I think, and from my perspective, Jay, is to really find out if we can find some patterns and say, okay, these things really identify. And it's not going to be, we'll do the best that we can, but maybe we can get 3 to 5 takeaways after each city and say, all right, these 5 things, if I say these 5 things, I'm talking about the Charlotte soccer culture. You know that I'm talking about the Columbus soccer culture. And I think that identity brings more people to the game, gives more people of a reason to be invested. It makes more people feel belong. And so I think besides this being awesome and having a great time with it, I think there's some importance to it,
Absolutely.
Well,
I think it'll be very exciting, and obviously can't wait to get started. And I've been in touch with you a lot. And I know your DC United your tournament went well. That was awesome to see that, and very excited to get it going. And I think another important thing you talked about was having some various levels. So we do want to integrate the different cultures, different groups of people in each city. And so please follow us along. We're very excited about it. Throughout the summer, we'll be having what we call the American Soccer Culture Series right here on Straight from the Training Ground. And it'll be a multi-part, podcast series where we'll follow you guys around and to get a lot of insight. And like you said, hopefully get a good feel for the culture and the vibe, of each city from the ground up.
Yeah. And if you're from Charlotte, so Charlotte's next. You're from Charlotte, you're from Columbus, you're from Chicago, reach out to us. And if you have something that you'd like to say, we want your insight. We're not here to talk for you. We just want to hear you and promote you. So if you're hearing this, let us know. And we would love to have you on as a guest.
Absolutely. So again, make sure you check all of us out here. All of our things are kind of under one umbrella now called the Soccer Neighborhood. So it's on the soccerneighborhood.com. You can all be a part of that as well. Any city, any community, small town, big city, it doesn't matter. That's what we're trying to promote and provide for everyone around the country. And follow us along all summer with our American Soccer Culture Series. And check us out on Instagram. Thanks to the guys at Olive and York, the neighborhood street summer kit is now available out there for only $40. We're just trying to spread the word for everybody out in their community who's doing great things like you are there with the Soccer Rebellion.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it. And you're doing great work as well. Couldn't do it without you. So thanks, Jay.
No big deal, man. Glad to have you. Glad to work with you, and very excited about what we're doing this summer. Hope everybody follows along. We have a great time doing it along the way. So until next time, straight from the training ground. Check out our friends at Duke Brand FC for all of your coaching needs, notebooks, and more. Visit our friends at TractionSocks.com for your grip socks.